as you can tell, it's going to be a fascinating conversation. So let's start with you, Geoff. Let's talk about, I mean, there's too many things to ask you about right now. You got the dark kitchen, the 600 locations, you have the first loyalty program in a dark kitchen, and now you've dropped your NFT metaverse message. So what's the latest? Just tell us, keep us up to date as of yesterday, as to what's going on with you.
Yeah, thank you. So, hi everyone. Thanks for having me here. Jeff Alexander with WildBell. Pre-COVID, we're a small brick and mortar Asian concept based in Chicago that has done airports and college campuses and sports stadiums. And we had an idea that we could sell our product through distribution to other restaurants for them to be able to resell it as a dark kitchen. We had this idea pre-COVID. We launched just before COVID. Then COVID came, and we've done over 600 locations in the US and Canada in the last 2 years. And back in March of this year, we launched our first rewards program. We don't call it loyalty because virtual restaurants is not really loyalty, right? You don't have that connection with the guest. It's more rewards. Every dollar you spend, you get a point for. $100 gets you 100 points, which gets you $7 free. We do this through wowbow.com because we want to transfer all the business from the marketplaces onto our own platform so we can connect and get data. It's been going well, and then yesterday the announcement came out that we are now elevating that process to include an NFT program. We're going to be launching in January, and our plan is to have 3 tiers basically, where you can purchase your NFT and it really just gets you the NFT, maybe a little bit of communication with us. And then we're going to have monthly subscriptions on 2 different tiers. And it's really made to get people to keep coming back to wowbow.com, to grow a community, to create community and conversation and a way to go back and forth, and then to reward people for coming back and dining with us and thinking of us as top shelf.
Yeah, that's great. That's so exciting. So you're going to hear a lot about NFTs. That's the little buzzword we're going to be throwing around a lot during this panel. But speaking of that, Lindsay, I know that you, a traditional, everybody knows TGI Fridays, a traditional great brand that already had a really robust traditional loyalty program. You're also doing some virtual brands of your own, including working with Geoff here at WildBell. So tell us about how that's sort of helping you reach different demographics with your loyalty.
Absolutely. So yes, as Geoff has rolled out his restaurants, dozens of them are in TGI Fridays kitchens. I had the pleasure of eating them for lunch yesterday. They're awesome. If you haven't had them, eat them. But what it does for the restaurant is it provides busyness for restaurant teams. So if it's an off-peak kind of hour, now our staff is fully utilized. They're feeling fulfilled. They're learning new products, new kitchen innovation, new skills as employees. In addition to providing a product that maybe doesn't fit the Fridays brand, maybe doesn't feel like a Fridays product, but can take advantage of our footprint in locations where places like WowBow aren't. And so when you think about expanding our reach, the customer probably doesn't know that they're getting their food fulfilled from a TGI Fridays. But when we think about the loyalty relationship, there's going to be tremendous opportunity in the future for where we can recognize those customers and celebrate them for serving their community through the local restaurant, whether it's fulfilling a Friday's burger or WowBow buns.
Yeah, that's great. It's just another way to diversify and reach more and bring them into your world, right, into your universe. And then Danny, we were talking about a century-year-old brand here that's an NFT restaurant now. I mean, what in the world? How did it happen? Tell us the story.
Sure, yeah. I can't even believe I'm here right now. I was just thinking, I remember being 6 years old. My mother's here. She has a restaurant with her brothers and sisters. They've been operating for 30 years, and I remember being 6 years old, sitting in this little tiny booth, rolling silverware, going to all the fairs where they were serving burgers. And this was a time where we always knew the story of my great-grandpa inventing the burger. We had all these articles and resources, and nobody believed us. And about 2 years ago, though, and actually this video that you showed was filmed a few years back. About 2 years ago, a hamburger historian expert, he's a real person unbiased to us, Chris Carosa, he did research on the hamburger and the history of the hamburger and has all of these like notes, cliff notes and research to prove, he studied the 4 stories to prove that we did invent the burger. And through my background in marketing, and so I have a marketing career prior to kind of jumping back into the restaurant industry, I was really studying Web3. And here we're this local mom and pop restaurant in Northeast Ohio where Frank and Charles Menches were from. And we've been serving the original recipe there in those stores. And we have this really powerful story. The burger is $1 trillion industry. We own the story. McDonald's doesn't own that story. We own that story. So how do we push that story out into the world now? You know, now we have all the research in place to talk about it. And so that's when I was studying Web3. Web3 puts the control back in the creator's hands. And that's when I started to realize, like, this is possible for us to really own and talk about this story at a global level. Of course, all of these restaurants can still serve burgers, right? We don't want to take that away, of course, and that would never happen. But it's how can we really start elevating that story and carrying on the legacy of Frank and Charles Menches, and it is through a Web3 technology platform. So we did launch an NFT just locally first. We have this idea of taking this NFT global, but first we were like, we need to reward our local loyal customers, the ones who have kept our doors open for 30 years, supported us through the pandemic. What can we do with them first? We don't use the language NFT. It's a restaurant membership program. We launched it about 3 weeks ago. We invited the customers into the restaurant. It's tied with a bunch of utility is tied to it, so they get any NFT holder gets 20% off every time they dine in with us. They get access to a private burger menu, and they get, we have these like spice packs where they can make burgers at home. So they get a number of different things, but it's just to build brand affinity, bring them closer to the story, the mission, before we, take that next step.
And these are all things that I think Zach mentioned it on stage just a minute ago, that third-party marketplaces can't compete with that kind of unlocking of VIP sort of access. So Kevin, break it down for us. you are basically just dropped some news with Devour a couple of days ago. So tell us about kind of just this audience in general. Break it down, these buzzwords, metaverse, NFT, restaurant. What's going on out there? What are you seeing? Championing it on a larger scale with celebrity brands. So tell us what's going on.
No pressure there.
Yeah.
Also, it was very awkward seeing myself on screen sitting up here too. Yeah. So thank you guys for bearing with that. That was weird for me. But I was like, whoa. There's a lot of Kevin in the room. Going back to all these buzzwords, honestly, for me, I'm a regular dude. I'm not from the tech space. I've never been like super like in the cutting edge of anything. I always told people I felt like I was late to everything. That's just kind of like who I am. That's how I felt. However, I have some amazing partners. My team is amazing. And we're just a bunch of crazy dudes that did food kind of weird already. And from there, we took a couple of risks that got us here today. But before I jump into any of that stuff, just to kind of break down some of the words, when it comes to digital collectible, NFT, non-fungible token, digital token, all these different words and why it matters, it really comes from the technology of blockchain. And if you guys aren't aware of it too much, please just do a little bit of research, just a little bit, and it doesn't have to be a lot. All you have to know is that it allows one-of-ones in a digital space, which is really interesting. Because if you take that concept, then you can use it for all sorts of things. What we're using it for is loyalty. You use it for ticketing. You can use it for any other industry where you take something digital and it's unique. It's one of one. And so that way, the way we used it, as I wear I know I wear vibrant clothes, so sorry. But if you look at the clothes that I have on, it's actually purposeful because I actually have my NFTs on my shirt. And I do this so as I'm talking about why this IP or intellectual property is really interesting and important, is that the actual image itself allows me a certain utility. So that first restaurant that we opened is Bored and Hungry, the first NFT restaurant in the world. That's what we coined it, because we took a very popular NFT collection, which was Bored Ape Yacht Club. You see these apes all over the news, right? You see all these celebrities buying them. what the heck is going on? They're selling for like 100 grand, 200 grand. Honestly, when I was looking at all that too, I was like, this is crazy. But sure enough, it captured, you know, the world, like what's going on. And so for us too, we paid attention. We saw the opportunity because we saw that there was unlimited IP usage on some of the categories in industries with the imagery itself on a very successful community that was just growing. And so we knew, as somebody that understands intellectual property, meaning brands, like different types of brands, that built a community. And so we were able to use that loyalty in a very unique way and garnish the attention of the Web3 community and bring them into a burger shop. And I'm also geeking out because I'm sitting next to the original burger here.
I'm geeking out next to it.
So I'm just like, this is super cool.
Yeah.
So for me, or for our team, when we were able to do that, honestly, it was an experiment for us too. We had no idea what was going to happen. I mean, we knew that it would get some attention, sure. Did we know that we would have like 5-hour lines the day of opening and selling through 1,500 burgers in less than 5 hours and to go global after that? Like, no idea, but it happened. And so we immediately, it was a test for us. It was supposed to be a 90-day pop-up, but here we are with the first NFT restaurant brand, and that's kind of how it happened.
It's an amazing story. And, you know, you think about Menches, it's like, you know, your small mom and pop, as you call it, shop, and you're doing it. Like, you can do it. It's almost like anybody can do it. It's own your story, right?
Yeah.
So like the Wow Bao story is very unique. The TGI, I mean, everybody's story is so unique. And just like we heard the other day about, you know, just your mission and your restaurant being purpose-driven, everyone has a story they can own, right, in this. So tell us how you plan to, Geoff, use your NFTs, because it's so new. I know you had your loyalty program, and now you're tying this into that. You just said you're going to give discounts and that kind of thing. You're going to unlock things every month and so forth. Where do you see you in the metaverse? Like, where do you see the community coming together somehow around your fandom?
Yeah, thank you. So there's a couple of ways we want to use this, the NFT and the metaverse, to really gain conversation is what it is more than anything else. The unlocking that we're talking about doing is doing monthly giveaways. We did a partnership with a group called Riot Racers, which has a racing game inside the metaverse. We actually created Wow Bao racing cars. We're going to give away the cars in the metaverse. You'll be able to race the cars or join our races, and there will be winnings that are associated with it. How does that winnings get spent? We're going to have new Wow Bao flavors that will come out. We're going to have new menu items come out, and we're really going to engage the community about what is next for Wow Bao and what we should do. The idea about the metaverse that we're also talking about, we've always been a believer in technology and tried to be more at the forefront of it. And we launched back in early part of this year hot food vending machines. If some of you have seen this, we're live in Georgia, Florida, and Vegas. We partner with a group, and they've created these vending machines that have a way to heat up the food. And our plan, that I can't go into a lot of details right now, but in the metaverse, where we believe will grow, and will grow substantially over the next few years, where people are playing their games or living in this AI or whatever the right terminology will be when it grows, is that you will be able to find a Wow Bao vending machine. And when you walk up to it, and again, I can't speak to all the technology, whether you're pushing a button or entering it or whatever it may be, but it will take you to our website where then you can order food. And because we have all these locations around the country that are delivering it, you stay in the metaverse. You don't believe, go back to doing what you're doing, but then the food will be delivered to you. And you'll be able to order food from our vending machines. So we think it's a really great way to build a different community, to bring the food to where people are. And the two sides of it, or the real part of it that we're trying to do more than anything else, is really create that conversation and that connection to people. That's what's the most important thing, is to really find ways to have, to grow the community to stay part of what Wow Bao is doing and to be thinking about how they can engage with us. Because right now in the virtual dining space, you can't communicate with anybody. You don't know their names, they don't know your bartender and your server, right? That doesn't exist in virtual dining. And right now when you order dinner tonight, you're ordering, I'm in the mood for X. Well, you don't order X 7 nights a week, but you, pre-COVID and starting to come about now, you are going to the same restaurant maybe 1, 2, 3 times a week, especially if you're at work. We are trying to find ways to get people to think about reordering from WowBow more than once a month or once every 6 weeks, or whatever the cadence is for delivery, to be that choice to go to. And these kind of initiatives, we think, will give people a reason to reorder with us.
Right, the cool factor, the fandom.
I like the cool factor. Yes, the cool factor is why we're doing it.
Which is kind of what it's all about. It's about being part of something bigger than, just going in by yourself. And TGI Fridays does that so well, as far as you talk about the bartender and the community experience. Just the place to go, like you always have been this place where people gather and share appetizers and that kind of thing. Tell us what this all means to you in the big scheme of things.
So I would challenge you that it's not for the cool factor, because everything that you said was not about being cool, but it's about being functional. And so for
I'm
Friday,
cool and functional.
Cool and functional. It's the whole deal, guys. What I would say is, for the Fridays brand, we are experiential. We've got shakers and we've got burgers loaded with stuff and appetizers as big as your face. And it's a fun place to go. It's a good environment. And can you replicate that virtually? Maybe not. But what I would say is, as the brand evolves, as our customer evolves, we're going to be where they're going to be. And so if they're looking for us in a virtual environment, delivering an experience in a virtual way, it comes this far, but to find a way to infuse that experience even in a restaurant scene, not just at home for delivery, but we're all on our phones, guilty at a restaurant too. Mm-hmm. There's no reason that we have to think of it in the confines of our own personal space, but what's the community in the community, live and in person too? So just a small taste of that we tried last Christmas. We had a virtual bartender elf that if you pulled up the app, you could see, and he'd little augmented reality, he'd shake his little drink, and he was really cute. But we stopped at just sort of the novelty factor. And so what I'm looking forward to is again, not just the cool factor, the novelty of it, but the function.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, as a marketer, you're looking at where I can unlock growth. And so I'm going to go after the customers where they are, and I'm going to provide them with utility.
Mm-hmm. And the lifetime value of that customer can increase exponentially the more they become more closely
It makes you credible.
to the brand.
It makes you credible. And so not only do I know I'm going to get a great appetizer, a great cocktail, I'm going to have a great, functional, cool experience to match it.
Yeah. It's kind of bridging all the worlds. Danny, tell the story about the maybe the oldest NFT holder in the world. You told me last night.
Yes. So in bringing our customers together, as I mentioned, focusing first on our locals was really important to us. And so bringing them together, talking about this concept of NFTs. Initially, we started using the language of NFTs, and we realized, like, that was a huge hurdle. I also really was focused on how do we remove the barrier to entry. What we're really paying attention to is, it's not NFT and like cool factor, it's more like business model. How can we go from customer experience to member experience? How can we build a more intimate community with, in this case, our local customers, right? And that's what we were able to accomplish from the people that understand the NFT world, all the way to the 95-year-old customer who absolutely loves coming into Menches Brothers and wants the utility and wants to be a member and believes in our story, and has been connected to our family for 30 years. And he just loves us. He loves our food. He comes in every week. He wants the utility. The delight and joy that you saw on his face when he minted his first NFT. What happens is when they buy it, we have the low barrier to entry in terms of they pay with a credit card on the website. And then like a carry-out box shakes once they buy. And then all of a sudden it opens up and lights come out, and then the burger image shows up, and it's a one of one. That's his burger image. And we screenshotted it so he knows how to actually use it instead of logging in. You're not really supposed to screenshot them, but in this case he did. So he could possibly be the oldest person in Web3. I don't know. I'd be curious to see.
Anybody know anybody older?
But we had so many amazing stories and experiences. There's a video coming out, I think, tomorrow that documents and shows the behind the scenes of the joy that brought to our customers. It was so cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So Kevin, what's next? What do you see for somebody in this room right now who's thinking about going there? Yeah. Right, started kind of putting their toe in the water of the NFT Web3 universe. How does someone get started, or what should they be thinking about?
I would start with I'm just going to talk through experiences. What we did was we got into this space in October of 2021. So it's not like I've been doing this for years. My brand, the first NFT restaurant that is going to South Korea, Southeast Asia, there's another location we're talking about PR in different areas. This is all happening live right now. The brand is 7 months old. So it's, again, the reason why I'm saying that is not to, oh, my accolades. It has nothing to do with that. I'm trying to encourage you guys to say, just first education, then try it. Honestly, just like, this is why I love the restaurant industry. This is why I love mom and pop businesses. I love the entrepreneurial spirit of it. I think restaurant entrepreneurs, food entrepreneurs are a little special crazy. And the reason why I say that is some of the statistics I heard about the failure rate of restaurants is astonishing. And guess what? You'll hear that, oh, the first year it's 50% fail. These could be wrong numbers. But in the second year it's 70% fail. Something crazy like that. I think I'm pretty close. And guess what? There's a new restaurateur every year, right? We're already used to taking risks. Why does this scare anybody else? That I don't understand. And so that's really what it is. I would start with an open mind. Get the education where some folks have done it before, or get some trusted folks around you. There's a lot more resources today than ever. There's a lot more trusted sources than ever. And I understand regulation is still, a little wonky in some places, and it could be a little bit scary with some untrustworthy folks. Stay away from all that, but absolutely have an open mind and try it. There's more technology coming out. We partnered up with Devour. We care about the future of this space for plugging in wallets, making it easier for restaurants. We care about what's coming in the future. You talked about the metaverse. We were very lucky to do a collaborative campaign with McCain Potatoes. You guys could look it up. We have our Bored and Hungry truck, our food truck. It's sitting in Livetopia in Roblox today, in a metaverse, with 54 million users.
That's cool.
And it's sitting there exposing our brand digitally, and now physically, you go into the stores and we get to educate them about regenerative French fries. That's what the brand is about. We created a new brand launch with them. So, and we care about regenerative agriculture because it saves the soil. But it's a cool way to educate the youth in a really awesome, engaging way for them, because they get to be a farmer on Roblox Livetopia. They learn about the brand, and then they can go eat physical French fries that we just created with them. So digital, physical, it's not the future, it's here. And the reason why I know is because I'm doing it, and I hope that all of you guys do it with me.
Can I just
Yeah,
add to that?
absolutely.
One of the things that when we first got involved with this idea, the group that we're working with, who's our consulting group that's helping us find our way to it, beat me over the head on every phone call, is that it's about community, and it's about community. You can be cool, you can do this, you can go into it, but the people that are embracing NFTs, embracing the metaverse, they care about the community factor. And what you're saying in Roblox, and they're being farmers and so on, it took me a while for me to embrace that. And so you've heard me when I've been up here, I keep saying about being community and opening lines of communication. You have to know that that's an incredible part of the people who are currently in the NFT and metaverse world, and will continue to grow in that style. And and I was told very clearly, if you are going to go out into the metaverse and go to your people and say, we have 3 choices of X flavor to launch with, which one should we do? And they give you feedback and you don't do what they tell you to, you will lose everybody. Like this, you're either all in or you shouldn't go there. And just know that it is the idea of it is community and building, which gets us to why we're talking about loyalty with it, because it's a great way to really have ambassadors of your brand and really find people who care about you. And I go back to what Nicole said earlier when she was up here about 30 million people in their loyalty program, and those people care and are doing it. And if you have 54 million people who are seeing you in the Roblox world as a street sign, you are going to get people who want to care about you, and you need to make sure that you are embracing that.
And there's not a lot of noise out there now. because it's also new. So great time to get in. I would love to open it to questions. I know that we're going to have some questions in the audience. I don't want to spend the whole time assuming that I know what to ask these folks. I'm sure you know better. So let's get some questions going.
Hey, thank you very much for what you're doing here. My question is, how are you thinking about the deterioration of value of the NFT, the metaverse? How does that factor into your thinking in terms of initiatives that are based on technologies and things that are changing dramatically in terms of the eyes of the marketplace?
Anyone want to take that?
Go.
Kevin?
Please, you go. Volunteer.
Yeah, we get that question a lot because right now the market is in a bear market season for Web3, or it was in a worse place even like a month ago. It's a little bit better now. I could tell that you follow, which is great. But what happens with collections, we've seen it all over the map, where a lot of collections came out with a lot of promises to their community with utility and all these different things. It does happen. And just like any new industry with new businesses, they're going to come out, guns blazing, trying to do this amazing thing. And there's going to be failures along the way, just like in any industry. I really do believe that. I don't think this is any different. So I've seen those failures in collections. With some of the current folks that are in the industry building long term, regardless of where the current value of that particular NFT lies, they're still growing the foundation of the actual utility. So even though the price point might not rise and fall like a good stock should, it will grow I believe that it will still grow in long term, and it's too early to really tell where it's going to go. Yeah.
And I just want to add on to that. I do a lot of speaking engagements here to talk about virtual dining, and 2 years ago, we really didn't have virtual dining, right? I mean, it really wasn't there. We are in the infancy of virtual dining, even though we've all are like tired of talking about it and delivery. That's our world because we live in this space. You're a 7-month-old doing this with your restaurant. I mean, we are about as in the infancy of where we are with NFTs. So what's going to happen? I have no idea. But I do believe that the inroads that are being laid right now for the metaverse, the money that's being spent to grow it, it's going to look totally different in 19 months than it looks now. And in 36 months, it's going to look totally different than it is in 19 months from now. But it is going to go. It is going to grow. I mean, I don't think anybody thought Roblox, 5 years ago or 8 years ago when it came out was going to have people of all ages play in this game. So it's not so much about what's going to happen. It's more about it's going to happen. It's just a question of how it will evolve and continue to grow.
And I think focusing like in the short term, yes, it's a scary time for NFTs, and there's a lot of questions, and there should be skepticism, right? Because this is such a new technology. What I believe is going to happen is that we're moving in the next iteration of the internet in Web3, regardless of what happens to NFTs, as an example, or digital currency and this concept of digital currency. Regardless of all of that, we are still moving towards Web3, and there is still technologies being built in Web3 that are very community and creator focused. And so that's where I think just be paying attention and studying that. Maybe now's not the time. Like, we launched in a bear market. My NFT model is a very non-traditional NFT model that isn't meant to attract a degen NFT community anyways, right? So that was okay for us, but it's a great time to just pay attention and study like what's happening in Web3 and what's happening on the foundation of technology. What's interesting about NFTs, though, is there's a smart contract tied to it. So you look at it as a business model. There's a smart contract tied to it. It can remove the middleman. And so we're going to see more of that, regardless of the market. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's how I see it. That's how I see it.
I do think
might
there's a
be
big
so
opportunity to lure people back from, like, say, one of the biggest pain points is the revenue share with third-party delivery with something special and unique via your NFT or metaverse,
Right.
Web 3.0 world, right? And I think that's...
I mean, one thing I'll say is we're so early with this technology. It's like the analogy I always give to everybody is blockchain technology right now, the way we use it, it's like taking a machine gun and cutting steak. Like, it's just, we have this incredible tool and we're just figuring out how to use it. Because imagine, like, the way the contract works, it's instant. So eventually, I know all of us has an accounts payable department. Not that I'm saying if anyone's from there, I'm so sorry. But I'm just saying that because it's instant to your crypto bank account, wallet, whatever gets set up for you in the future, it's going to be instant on that chain. So even that type of technology is incredible. It cuts out so much. On top of that, you could imagine what that'll do to franchises with fees, licensing fees, royalty fees.
Yep.
There's so much more that comes from just the technology. We're just in the very beginning.
The very
Think about, was it Diane from Coca-Cola said this morning, she has 2 kids, she's raising one to get involved in crypto, right? I mean, well, who knows where it's going to be in 20, 30 years when her kids are old enough.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Questions? I see there's a couple more. We have a couple more, time for a couple more maybe, and then we got a break and go drink some wine.
Testing. I'm going to express some thoughts and ask a question at the same time. So my opinion is that everything you're saying up here is a little esoteric, right? We have some smart people in the room, so they probably get what you're saying. But in general, I know a lot of people who they can't follow. They've heard of this stuff. You think about the accelerated adoption of technology throughout the pandemic, and you have older generations that have bought into some that traditionally wouldn't have, but they might say, okay, this is too much. I'm not touching crypto, this monkey NFT nonsense, I'm not touching that. They're crazy. And so what I'm wondering is if you're investing all of this money and resources, and if it's the future, there's no question that younger generations who are indigenous to all this technology are going to be on board. But I'm curious with your brands, how are you getting buy-in from older generations? How are you kind of introducing and relieving that trepidation? Or are you basically not focused on them saying they're going to get left behind and we're focused on the future anyway? I'm just curious how you're approaching that. If I feel like, hey, I want to be a part of it, but I think it's too much at the same time, like, how can you ease me into it so I can be a part of the movement and don't get left behind?
So I just want to, I don't want to speak for you, Danny, but I think you said this, and we're doing the same thing. You don't have to have a crypto wallet to do ours. We'll be available on regular credit card and email, so that goes to a little bit to help the barrier go. I do believe, and we heard earlier, somebody mentioned that Shake Shack has announced that they're going to go with
The
kiosks, right, across their entire thing. WowBow, we had kiosks in 2010. And in 2010, you had ATMs, you had movie theaters, and you had airlines were the only places that had kiosks in the whole world. And we were doing kiosks. So it's evolution. And Coca-Cola, again, this morning, I'm going to butcher the quote, but it was, technology's never gone this fast, but it'll never go this slow. So 2 years ago when COVID hit, trust me when I tell you the grandparents of the world did not know how to order on their phone. And now they're all ordering on their phone. So the generation that's coming up right now, I think does get it, and they are going to teach the next generation both directions. So there's a great point to what you said, and I'm going to go back to what Kevin said earlier. It's everybody's responsibility to do a little bit of research to understand it. And you will start hearing more and more. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg's losing $130 billion, and he's going all in on this. So somebody is spending some money to make sure it's understood.
But I do think, if I can tag in, there's something to be said about it's not for everybody. And so as a customer marketer, I'm going to go where my customers are. So this isn't going to throw out traditional marketing strategy. It's not going to get rid of a traditional loyalty program. I'm not going to stop sending emails because those channels are effective for those customers that I have today. Some of my customers may make the journey. Some may not. My future customers will. But the brand itself needs to be preparing and adapting for the next version of TGI Fridays at the same time. Because I can't take what I have today to prepare for my future customer and just make it in a metaverse world and assume it's going to sell to a new generation.
Right.
And so that's the brand challenge overall. The channel, the environment that we're building the community in may change, but it's not replacing what we do today in the restaurant.
One thing I will say is that I love that question or the statement that you also made, because I get asked all the time, so does your restaurant take cash? And the answer is yes. And to be very transparent with the Executive Summit here is that people ask me, they're like, hey, what's the percentage of crypto taken versus credit card? It's less than 1%. But why do we focus on it? Because for us, again, it's not just the brand that we're building, but we still care about what's coming. And I feel like the mission that we've taken on is mass adoption. How do we onboard more people in the easiest way possible in this very high learning curve? And there's nothing that's easier that bring people to a table than food. And I feel like our industry has been tasked many, many times before to onboard all sorts of new stuff. And I think this isn't something that we can't handle. And this is something that we find a lot of pride in, that we care about hyperlocality. I'm in Long Beach, California. There's a real reason why Snoop came out. And it's not because, Dog didn't come out because, oh, he's in Web3 and whatnot. His family came out because we're in Long Beach, you know? And we're hyperlocality. We grew up, we're OC kids, LA kids. We're from Southern California. We love the culture that we bring with us. I'm a walking cultural billboard, like just who I am, the music we listen to. At our grand opening, this is the perfect picture of what community looks like to me, is that we opened a Web3 NFT restaurant with the best, one of the best, burgers in the nation. And we had a full-on luau with my boys from Samoa. We got all the guys out. We had dancers out. We had DJs out. It looked like a luau with Web3 with burgers. And there was about 1,000+ people there. So yes, it's scary. It is. But community is still the core focal point of what we do as an industry. And that should be the center driver of all of this.
A great note to end on.